joining us today to discuss a variety of issues, including this issue around peak pessimism. We have some fantastic guests. Sarah Backhouse, Executive Director of World 50. Thanks very much for coming along.
Thank you. I like to be linked to peak pessimism all the time, so it's off to a good start.
Peak optimism.
That's right.
We've also got Rosaline Chambers. She's the CEO of Ons Capital and an absolute champion for Africa's industrial growth. We've also got Yat Su. He is the Executive Chairman of Animoca Brands and a blockchain pioneer. And Lauren Woodman, the CEO of DataKind, leveraging AI for social good. Sarah, let's get straight to it here. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about your feelings here in Davos. The theme is collaboration in an intelligent age, but then there's a real sub-theme around trust.
There is.
Now I know this is something that you think deeply about. Give me your thoughts on, after a few days in Davos, what are your members in World 50 saying?
Indeed. Well, rebuilding trust is one of the sub-themes of Davos, and I think it's a very timely and telling one. Our members start the year with Ian Bremmer's Top Risks Report. This is a critical report. We have him every year, the most highly attended call. And the very first risk he cites is the G0 world.
G0 world, what's that?
It's a vacuum whereby traditional institutions have lost their way. IMF, UN aren't really providing the support that the global leaders need. The US, the world's dominant economy, is not really stepping up as a global leader, turning more inwards. Unilateralism is on the rise, and that's been seen with the Trump presidency. And other developed democracies, Germany, France, are not really filling that void either. So we're in a place where people are looking in, there's greater protectionism, greater looking after yourselves, and that's leaving a gap in global leadership.
It is something that I wonder if you see being filled by other members. So when I travel a lot to India, to the Middle East, they talk about this multipolar world and how regional powers, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, India, could step into the void. What do you see your members saying about
Indeed.
that?
I think from an economic perspective, certainly strong economies. China is meandering a little bit right now, but certainly is number 2 in the world. India, a rising economy. But however, again, there's no one stepping up to that global leadership role. I think there is a little bit of looking after one's own self. So look, we'll see what 2025 holds, but still a big sense of a lack of global leadership.
And within that idea around trust, I know from the Edelman Barometer in past years, there has been this idea that global corporate leaders are the ones that do get trust, and they get trust from the members of their own companies and also the broader public. Is that still the case, or has that changed?
This changed. So yeah, Edelman Trust Barometer, it was its 25th year, and again, this is a great moment to set the scene for Davos. And trust in business, while it peaked in 2021 after COVID, where business stepped up and really looked after its employees, this is at a low. In fact, there was a dip in trust in government, in media, in business. The only glimmer of hope was NGOs that had some increased trust, but this has led to a really low level of trust, which is causing a very interesting phenomenon of a grievance-based society. So the public, distrustful of institutions, are aggrieved. They feel more discriminated against. They don't trust information. This for me is one of the scariest statistics. 66% can't tell the truth, but the difference between kind of fact and fiction. So we're left in a very distrustful society that we have to pull out from.
A little bit of a trust vacuum, you might say.
There is a trust vacuum.
I wonder what your members are saying, and tell me first of all who your members are. I
Yes.
should have asked that at the beginning.
Absolutely. So our members are CEOs and C-suite executives from the world's biggest companies and most trusted companies, I would argue. We have over 100 here at Davos. We convened them for a reception on Tuesday night, which is a little escape from the madness of Davos. And you know, they're here across functions. So of course CEOs are highly represented. Divisional presidents, CFOs, chief comms officers are here in force, and also some new functions actually. Chief sustainability officers, chief marketing officers are showing up at a greater pace, and they are leaders, decision makers for their organizations. And look, frankly, they're also facing quite a few challenges. AI is by far the dominant theme here. So as leaders, how do you show up in an AI age? Employees are very concerned around AI, and you know, is it going to take your jobs? How do we upskill? How do we learn how to work with AI? all the geopolitical tension we mentioned. So it's quite a moment for leadership to step up, and World 15 members included.
What thoughts on the new president? Is it divided based on geographically where they are based?
Yeah, I think it's mixed. I think that, look, Trump is going to be good for business. That's the overarching message. Obviously, there's regulations are going to fall to the wayside. Some can view this as incredibly positive. I heard from David Rubenstein, the co-founder of the Carlyle Group, who said expect more M&A activity, crypto markets loosening. So good time for business. Some of that is also worrying, right, with deregulation. Europeans, I think, are hoping that Europe will loosen some regulations to fuel innovations. You know, it was all listed out in the Draghi report about what Europe has to do. And I want to come back to the point about pessimism, because it's true, it has been a bit of a difficult moment for Europe, kind of sandwiched between the US and China and facing aging demographics, increased innovation. There are some glimmers of hope. We had a call with a macroeconomist early this year that showed that there will be slight improvement in growth. I did just see the news of Trump's $500 billion investment in AI. So let's see if Europe can be inspired by that and step up and increase investments as well.
What about any thoughts on diversity, equity, and inclusion? Because we saw the announcement coming from Trump around eliminating all of those jobs within the federal government.
Yes.
Is that something that you'll see reflected in corporate as well?
This is a really interesting one, and I've talked to some of our CEOs here on the ground. Look, I think it is in a moment of being threatened. The language that people use around this, it's you know, we had green hushing, whereby people were afraid to, companies didn't want to step up and talk about their ESG programs for fear of retribution. Very much DE&I is an acceleration of that. So I think it's shown that having more diverse workforces do lead to greater diversity of thought and increased business performance. I think companies that have set those targets are going to stay the course. Will they be singing about it from the rooftops? Likely not, because there's a serious, it's something that they can be attacked from. So it's a very different age from just a few years ago.
I mean, this may be a bit simplistic, but I did have Adrian C. Smith from Fleischman Hillard in yesterday, who said it may not be called diversity, equity, and inclusion. It might be called something else, but what she sees is a lot of companies, as I know you see, when they embrace a more inclusive workforce, they do better.
Yes.
Profits improve.
Correct.
So I imagine your CEOs recognize this and they'll find ways to make it happen in a different guise. Is that right, or am I being overly optimistic?
No, I think you're right. I think the narrative around what companies are doing is shifting. You've seen already high-profile examples of that, but those who have set those targets to decarbonize and to have more inclusive workforces, to your point, are staying the course.
Okay. Sarah, anything I haven't asked you want to make sure you say?
No, I think, look, the one thing, the glimmer of hope I see is trust in peer groups. That's what we at World 50 Group like to convene and facilitate and create, because it's a crazy, unpredictable, complex world.
Yeah.
And having that safe space for our members to get together is something that we believe holds a great value.
Sarah, thank you very much for stopping by the Hub Culture Morning News Show. I'm Edie Lush. Stay with us. We'll be right back with our next guest.